Hi everyone, welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. How are you guys doing today? Happy Tuesday to you guys. Oh, it's the sun is shining. We don't have any snow. It's been a good day so far. Um, so guys, keep showing up, keep watching the channel because we're going to talk about it all. Now keep in mind when I talk about these different experiences, I don't give specific details like names. I talk about the experiences I had and how I got through them and how it refined me into who I am today. It has been hard, guys. Let me tell you, none of this is easy. And all these trials and tribulations are definitely not for the faint-hearted, and you never know how strong you are and where your strength come from when you got to go through things that no one person should have to deal with. But like I said in prior videos, the lesson or the blessing, first the lesson and then the blessing, and it's just when you have to go through these things, with no help from people who you thought had your back. You have God, but you find out these people don't care about you. They were just there to leech off of you. It changes you, But what doesn't destroy you will strengthen you and make you see things in a different perspective with clarity. Now, I know, excuse me, guys, going to the doctor again to get something for these allergies. But in the meantime, when it comes to people, I know we talk about this a lot and I emphasize things, but sometimes we have to set those really, really strong boundaries in order to have our peace. Because, trials and tribulations and things will happen. It's the way we respond to them and how we handle that will make a difference on how our life will turn out. And I'm so thankful that I never gave up and that God gave me the resilience to keep going, guys, because I promise you, as you do that and you choose yourself so that you can heal, grow, and evolve, you start to get clarity and follow your intuition, because a lot of times your intuition could be saving your life, and I'm just grateful and thankful for things that I haven't been before, once the lessons have been learned. It took me a long time to learn these things, and I talk about it, but then as you do better, you feel better, and then you invite the good in your life, because God has started closing those doors from the past that no longer serve who you are, and he'll open new doors with people who really match you and your energy, and people who really care about you and who's going to have your back when you need them to, because we all need encouragement, even myself, and it's important when we help each other. It's amazing, guys. So remember, I'm not a therapist, social worker, or a counselor, just someone who talks about my experiences here, my personal experiences. Everything I speak about is the truth here, and I talk about how I overcame, and perhaps someone who might be going through similar experiences but who do not talk about these things openly might hear something that might resonate with them and be beneficial in helping them with their own situation. So guys, with that being said, let's keep the comments, respectable, and let's uplift, because that's what we are here to do, to uplift one another. And all that other stuff, toxicity and drama and negativity and stuff in the world, we see it. It seems to be the norm today, but we don't have to be a part of it. We can choose ourselves, Okay, let's get into this topic of discussion. The title is Learning Lessons so that you can move forward. Learning lessons so that you can move forward. And this was a hard one because it took me years to do this. because betrayals, lies, deception, abandonment. And I kept repeating those cycles, different characters, but same scenario. Toxic individuals, narcissistic ones, self-absorbed individuals. It doesn't matter if it was a romantic connection or a family, whatever it was. I kept in different shapes and forms choosing the same thing. Guys, listeners, what we choose is what we attract. So when we don't learn lessons, it comes back around. That will spin again. And when it comes back again, it may be different characters, but the same scenario. And once I started to see that after being down for so long, I changed things for the better because I got off that will, learned the lesson, closed doors. It was very, very painful. I use a lot of metaphors when I'm on here speaking to you guys, like the elephant in the room and people pretending it's not there, being fake, walking around it, it's not there, creating illusions. While the meantime, the elephant is growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that means the problem and the pain is growing as well, because the elephant I use is the pain. When we don't address it and we just pretend it's not there, it's not going to go away. It's just going to grow. So once we address it, face it, and it's hard to do because it's painful. But once we get through that, then we can enjoy our life. We can put it behind us. And I had to do that. A lot of childhood trauma I had to face, and I just had to speak it out. Like I had a conversation with my therapist about something that was so painful growing up and so deep that he was in tears, about it. But, I got it out and it was hard. It took me a long time, but it's an outlet for the pain, speaking it out. So guys, therapy was the first place I started. Perhaps that might help you because it's a catalyst to everything else. It's just like 1,000 pieces of puzzle pieces in a box. When you turn that box over, you don't know what that picture is until you sit down and start to take the time to put those pieces together. Then you can see what the picture is. You see the clarity of it. But as you're going through it, you don't know because none of these things come with a book of instructions. But you start to figure it out, especially, when you start with therapy and then everything else comes after. And in my case, that's how it went. And I had to do a pro and con list and see that I had to set strong boundaries. I was shocked when people were jumping and skipping over those boundaries, disrespecting me, because for far too long I was subservient, trying to solve other people's problems. But here I got a pile of tons of bricks on my back that I couldn't throw off because I was busy doing other things to help other people. The quicker we learn the lessons, guys, the quicker we can move forward to our blessings, our peace and blessings. Because there is no peace and there is no rest when you got toxicity on your back. And people are bringing toxicity to your table on a daily basis. And I had to learn people only do what I allow them to do. If they want to leech and treat me like a doormat, I am allowing it. But it is something when you are able to take back your power. You snatch that power back when you realize that you have a choice in a matter and you don't have to put up with that. And what that meant a lot of times is that those doors were closed. It didn't matter if it was family, romantic relationship, business situation. When those doors close, even though it was painful, you go through the pain, the betrayal of it all, whatever it is. Then you take a deep breath and then you realize the reasons why those doors have to close. Because if you want peace, you want tranquility, and you want to grow, heal, and evolve, some people can't grow, heal, and evolve with you because it's not their choice to do so. Their some people choose toxicity and they want to bring that everywhere that they go. And if you don't want that and you set boundaries and they disrespect those boundaries again and again, then for me, I had to cut off, block, and delete for my peace and my blessings. And it wasn't easy because I wasn't the type of person to say no because I was afraid people would just argue with me, leave, etc. But they were leaving anyway, whether I agreed or not agreed, whatever, because they were only there specifically to take. And when you see that and do that pro and con list of what you're giving to any connection, whether it's family, relationship, and then you do the pro and con list of what they're giving, you start to get upset. I know I did. I'm like, wait a minute. This has been going on for far too long, too many years of this. So it took a lot, like my therapist kept saying in the beginning when I was talking and I was all over the place, I was saying this, that, all over the place. He would just look at me and say, Lisa, set boundaries. Set boundaries. Boundaries, they're not listening to that. Set the boundaries. And then he would say, if I said they're disrespecting them, then make a decision. Then you have to make a decision on how you want to deal with that. He never specifically said to do A, B, C, or D. He just left it to me. He made me realize that the power lie within me. And that I am giving them freely my power, by letting them do whatever. People only, and that's when I learned, people only do what you allow them to do. If you hand them your power, they're going to do whatever. They're going to have you like a puppet on a string, running, skipping, hopping, whatever they need you to do, while you are neglecting your own affairs. And I had to really go into prayer with God about that, really understand deep down why I was doing that and get to the bottom of the root of the cause so that I can fix it, resolve it. And it was looking at pain and situations. And the first thing I learned, guys, is that I had to love me. Sometimes we're looking for love in all the wrong places. That's the song, right, guys? But looking for love in all these other people and places when we have to love ourselves first. Because how can we expect to be loved by others if we don't love ourselves? And I had to do that because my self-esteem was in the ground for a long time because of all the toxicity and abuse. I had to rebuild. And sometimes you have to go in isolation for a while to rebuild, to heal, to get yourself together. And as you do that, you come back. What doesn't destroy you, I promise you, will make you stronger. But I didn't do this alone. I did this in prayer with God, asking him to help me. And as I took those steps, as I always say, God took 2, 3, and 4 steps. As I grew, healed, and evolved, I had to close many doors. At first, I was terrified of doing it, but it was necessary because what's the sense of healing what's broken within, and you heal and grow, and then you invite back those same things that broke you in the first place? And it didn't matter of the connection. If it was toxic and it was creating trauma and all the things I didn't want in my life, it had to go. And that was a hard pill to swallow, guys. It had to go. First I set the boundaries. When they were disrespected, okay, cut off, block, and delete. And keep moving to stay focused. Because if you have these things in your life, toxic connections, toxic people, drama all over the place on a daily, then you take the focus off your healing and yourself, and it's back on that. So any growth you have will regress because of that situation. So I had to learn that and close those doors. And it was hard. People were mad and blah, blah, this and that. And one thing I had to do, how you just close doors? I had to say to certain people, because as those doors close and they come back around, I had to tell them, look, I'm not the same person anymore. And I'm not going to tolerate what I did before. It's not going to happen. And they'll pretend or whatever. And I have to say, I'm done with this. And that was hard to do because I would keep things inside. Go to the gym, punch something or whatever work out harder than usual because, you're not saying what you need to say. That means you're still carrying those tons of bricks. So I had to say what I had to say. I didn't have to be nasty about it. I just had to be truthful. And I speak my truth, and I'm learning that some people don't like that. But that's not for me. And because I've changed so much that some people love to change and embrace it while others envy it, and I let them. What are you going to do? You only have control over yourself. I wouldn't want control over anybody else anyway. But one of the things I want to say to you guys is that you do have the power to take back your power. You have the right to make your own decisions as an adult. And if something is not working for you, it doesn't matter what type of connection it is. You sit down, you discuss it, you talk about ways how we can, make this equal, and it still goes left, then you have a decision to make. And when I look at relationships now today, I look at it differently. I look at a partner as someone who's going to walk with me, walk beside me, not walk behind me, or not make me walk behind them, or a situation where they tell me, you do what I tell you or else. I did a video not too long ago, a couple of days ago, on abuse. All those things are abusive and toxic. And we have a decision to make. And as I start to heal more and I look at things from a different perspective, I start to understand this, guys, that when somebody tell you you got to do what they tell you to do and they're being toxic and abusive towards you, I would be more concerned that that person is going to leave. But some people think that they have people twisted around their finger. I remember coming in a while ago. This is way back before I started healing. And I was living with an ex. We were living together, whatever. And I came in from work. And on the phone, I hear my ex talking to a friend and saying, this girl, whatever the conversation was, I missed the piece of it. But I did hear this part. Oh, please, that girl is not going anywhere. I can do A, B, C, D, and E, and she'll be right there. She's not going anywhere. And I was like, wow. When somebody gets comfortable enough to think that they got you twisted around their finger like a puppet on a string, and that you're not going anywhere, a person like that could be in for a rude awakening. Because as you wake up and you decide to heal, grow, and evolve, you're going to get to the point where you choose yourself. And when somebody continues to be abusive, deceptive, bring betrayals to the table, you have a choice to make. You don't have to sit and tolerate that. And in my case, since I went through it a few times, I got to the point where I chose me. I chose to heal, grow, evolve. And it got lonely at times. But you know what? I thrive in that isolation because I'm in prayer, peace, because everything that I was doing was to acquire inner peace. Because, guys, let me tell you about why I'm so different today. That inner peace, I'm unbothered by that toxicity. I've heard things that gossip and lies, malicious ones about I did A, B, C, D, and E, things I would never do. And I said, well, people who really know me know I would never do stuff like that. Let me tell you about haters. Haters like to spread lies when they can no longer take your power, when they can no longer manipulate or control you. They like to spread lies. And let me tell you about people who believe those lies. Anyone who believes lies about you without knowing you and who you are, they're just as weak as the hater, because they already have something against you. They already have a reason within them that they want to hate you, but they don't have a valid one. So when somebody come to them and tell them something, instead of going to the source or researching this You know, because if somebody tells me, listen to something about you, I'm not going to take that and run with it. I'm going to go to the source, which is you, to find out if this is factual or not. But some people who are already on the envy train just need something. And when a hater come to them because they hate you because they can't control you anymore, and they tell this person something, that person, instead of researching what the truth is, they go and they take that and carry it, you know, and then it gets bigger and bigger and malicious. What in the beginning I used to focus on that and cry and try to defend myself. I don't do any of that anymore, because that's going to play out. What is in the dark will always be exposed to the light. You know, I really understand that scripture in the Bible today, because I've seen it play out time and time again. And if I was doing any of those things, I would not be, my life would not be elevating. It would be really messed up. But I've gone through all that. I let people say whatever. But guys, when you take your power back, you put yourself in a position not only to choose you, but to make your own decisions. Because sometimes when we have these toxic connections, they are making decisions for us. Decisions that we may not even agree with, but we just go along with it because of the situation. Now when you acquire inner peace, you make your own decisions, because at that point you already took your power back. So you make your decisions. And when somebody want to gang stalk you, follow and do all this stuff, you know, I just look at them and, you know, I go into prayer and give it to God so I can stay focused, you know, because I am not the same person. It's not a joke, a game, or whatever. And I'm unbothered by the noise of it all, because I've already taken back my power, and I'm not going to hand it to anyone. And anyone in my life, we're going to walk together. I'm not walking behind them. I'm not crawling or doing any of that stuff. We're supposed to be equal. You know, we walk together. We're there to uplift and not to tear down. There's so much of that in the world. So the moral of this story is, when you learn lessons, find people in your life who are going to match who you are, who's going to uplift you, especially in times when you need it. You know, we see what's going on in this world today, mostly misery, right? And find people who are going to uplift you and who's going to be there for you as you are there for them, and not those who are going to bring more tons of bricks to the ones that you already have to carry. That's the message today, guys. Sometimes it's better to choose yourself so that you can be at a place of inner peace and growth, instead of broken down and into pieces. That's the message today. This is Lisa, shedding love and light. Go do something positive for yourself. Take care of you. Self-care on a daily basis, guys. And thank you for showing up. Subscribe to the channel. Invite others here so that they can get the message and be uplifted as well. Thank you. I also say subscribe to the channel because I don't have a set time, Monday through Friday, to be here. But when I'm here, guys, you could subscribe and know when I'm here and join me. Thank you, guys. And look at those links at the bottom of this video, because it might be things that might help you with anxiety and help you along this journey. We're going to do this together, guys. You don't have to be alone. Thank you again. This is Lisa, shedding love and light. And guys, have a great day. Bye for now.